Hello, this is Arturelia Film Room Reviews. I'm Arturo, and today I'll be reviewing Empire of the Sun, a film that actually starred Christian Bale. I think his very first film that he ever did. Came out in 1987, and it's set in China during the Second World War. And this was a different take of the Second World War. Of Japan, its empire expanding. When I watched this film, what do I think of how I felt or how impactful it was? Or is it something worth watching? A new take in World War II that some people may not have really seen from a different perspective. This is based off of a book that a young boy at the time witnessed. Well, that's why you're here. Today I'm going to be reviewing a Steven Spielberg film, Empire of the Sun. A young British boy with his parents live in China, but the Second World War is still ongoing, and the Empire of Japan is making their move. Soon this young boy will be separated from his parents, and he will have to survive during the wartime in China, in a prison camp, all made up of British citizens and others. This story was very sad, but very good. And I can say it's a different perspective from the Second World War that most people may not have seen, seen, but you get to see what Japan was doing while Germany was doing their thing. And I really liked how this film showed that aspect. It was very interesting with what China had to go through during the Second World War. The soundtrack feels spirited at points. Some like the type of the theme feels like that. I mean, this is Steven Spielberg's film after all, so it hits you here and there. The character, which is mostly a boy we follow, we see him go through the worst points in 1941. We then time skip to 1945, and how he's made friends at the camp. Some American pilots, citizens, even one of the Japanese boys that are in the Japanese army. But he also has an interest in military stuff, including the Japanese and American airplanes.
Wow! B-51! Cadillac of the sky!
The film itself, as it's, in the 80s, still looks good. Scenes that play out are really good, and I didn't really know much issues with editing or whatsoever. Heck, they managed to take the toy airplanes and make them look bigger. As for my enjoyment, I can say it was very interesting. I found myself very intrigued in this film. It was a sad story, but it was good. I enjoyed seeing the different perspectives. I saw a lot of history in this film, especially when it came to Japan invading China. To be honest, this is another World War II film that is very good. And if you ever have the chance, you should watch it. Steven Spielberg directed it, so it is very good. While it's not like action-packed, like some of the other films are, like Saving Private Ryan, and blah blah blah, what I liked about this film is basically a different perspective. This was Christian Bale's first film, and he did a good job. I liked what they were showing in this film. I liked, how this kid had to survive during this time of the war in China, and how the Empire of Japan, well, they had their own brutality, just like the Nazis. But yeah, this was a very interesting film. Empire of the Sun was something that I find very intriguing, and I feel like it's something you should watch. It is interesting, sad, but very good. It does show a different historical view of the war, and I like that. I actually like to see more of the Second World War in Asia. We get mostly World War II films of Europe, the European campaign, but I like to have more of the Pacific too, because the whole world was involved. And this was a very, very, very interesting viewpoint of that. And I can say I really enjoyed this film. I'm going to give it
An 8 out of 10.
You should definitely try it out. It's another classic from Steven Spielberg himself. As for my recommendation, I can't think... Well, there is this film that's actually set in the Pacific Campaign. Other prisoners, and mostly women. And I found that also interesting. But on top of that, I mean, I can't really think of something else that's more like... Well, there is The Great Escape, which is set in Europe. But yeah, it's like prison films like this. Yeah, these are it. I can't think of anything else unless you want to look for other World War II films set in the Pacific Theater. Well, this is Arturelia Film Room Reviews, signing off.